All right, big package today. For those of you that have already seen the thumbnail, I think you already know what's inside this box. So without wasting any more time, let's get this started because I'm super excited to finally receive this. You know what, honestly, I think opening from the other end would have been a better idea. There you go. And of course, in case if you guys haven't figured out by now, this is the Breville dual boiler. And I'm actually choosing this machine as my new daily driver. Now, before I continue with the unboxing, I do want to address a couple of things first. I was actually choosing between the Breville dual boiler or a decent espresso machine. I know what you're gonna say, that these two machines are a huge price difference. And honestly, to me, when I was looking for my next machine, what I was really looking for was a certain degree of control over my shots, and of course, very importantly, I wanted that 58mm basket. And coming from the Breville Barista Express, I honestly really enjoyed using Breville machines, and I believe they have the potential to produce very high quality drinks. And of course, I fully understand that the Breville's build quality is probably one of its Achilles heels. However, I think for a machine in this price range, there's really nothing that come close to the functions that this dual boiler offers. And of course, I've also considered heat exchange machines in a similar price point. However, for a heat exchange machine within this budget, it really wasn't offering all the functions that I was looking for. And very importantly, our apartment isn't that big, and with a newborn, and of course, she's soon going to be a toddler in the house, I just don't find a burning hot metal machine in the kitchen to be a very safe option. And now, of course, for you guys watching at home, all of you have different priorities, and at this current moment, that priority is mine. Hence why that actually brought me to the Decent machine. Now, the Decent machine, of course, offers as much control and options over the shot as you can possibly imagine, and it's a very gorgeous machine to me. I know some people don't like the way that Decent machine is designed. To me, that machine just looks absolutely stunning. Now, the reason why I still ended up going with the Breville dual boiler is because while the Decent offer all of the functions, it is currently very hard for me to justify the price point. After shipping, the DE1 Plus Pro comes out to be about $4,800. And with that budget down the line, I could potentially be looking at a Breville dual boiler plus something like the Profitec Pro 600 with flow control. And for me, when I choose a espresso machine, it's obviously one of two reasons. Number one, of course, is to make drinks for me and my family. And number two is to make content for this channel. Therefore, at the end, I decided to go with the Breville dual boiler. This way it will leave me more budget to either upgrade my grinder or get another heat exchange for comparison purposes down the line. And of course, just as a super side note, one thing about the Decent machine that kind of really bothers me is the sound that it makes when it extracts coffee. And from watching their channel, I know that for the next machine, if they are going to improve anything, they are actually working on improving the sound that the machine makes. So hopefully we will see that soon in the future. But that is actually a super minor point. It's just something I think is worth mentioning, because I think you guys at home that are shopping for these machines might have similar reservations about the machine for the same point. So anyways, with all of that said, let's come back to the Breville dual boiler. Like I said in the beginning of the video, one of the reasons why a lot of people would not choose the Breville dual boiler is because of its longevity issues. A lot of its internal parts are made of plastic, and also when you open the machine, the wiring and everything else just is very complicated. It's not very welcoming for you to tinker with. And of course, overall, for a lot of coffee enthusiasts, they view Breville just as a kitchen appliance brand, and they essentially view this machine as a kitchen appliance as well. However, I've had the Barista Express for just over 5 years, and my friend Will had his infuser for over 8 years. And of course, knock on wood, it's been sailing very smoothly so far. And of course, both of us stay on top of cleaning, and we periodically inspect the machine to make sure that nothing's leaking. I've looked all over online for the owners of the Breville dual boiler. It seems a lot of the common issues can be prevented or fixed just by daily maintenance or an annual maintenance. For example, changing out the O-rings in the machines, and of course, just using filtered clean water, it will help. And with that out of the way, This machine offers a ton of controls over your shot, and you can go as far as modding the machine so that it will have flow control. One of the most popular mods is the Slayer mod. By simply rewiring 3 tubes, you're able to use the water dial to control the flow of espresso. And down the line, that is definitely something that I'm planning on doing, even though probably for the first few months, I want to use the machine as it is to really fill it out. And once you add that mod in, you are getting a very, very capable machine. Now, even without that mod, it's still a very, very capable machine. So I think for most of you guys at home, if you're shopping for a machine, this is a great option. I really don't think most people should just brush it off as a home appliance and not even consider it as part of their coffee journey. All right, I have said quite enough. The main reason why I wanted to get it out of the way is because I know a lot of people have their opinions on the Breville machines, especially the Breville Dual Boiler. I just want to give you my 2 cents on the reason why I went with this machine. So let's continue with the unboxing. All right, so as of time of recording this video, this machine is actually sold out in a lot of places. I have reached out to some of the coffee retailers online, and they've been telling me that the Breville Dual Boiler has been having, or actually just Breville in general has been having some stock issues. So it was not easy for me to find a site that actually had this in stock because I wanted it in black. So by the time you guys watch this video, or by the time you guys find this video, the stock issue hopefully will be fixed. As of right now, I pretty much saw this came in stock on one of the sites and I jumped on it immediately. All right, so let's just go over on the exterior of the box. Of course, there's some marketing materials. Now, I think I want to take you guys to the back here to explain some of the reasons why I went with this machine. This machine, obviously, as the name implies, it have a dual boiler. So therefore, it have a separate boiler for steam as well as a separate boiler for coffee. You will actually be able to adjust the 2 temperatures separately, and you're able to adjust all of the premises of the extraction via the simple LCD panel. And now, one thing this machine offers, and not many other machines do, is it measures the pressure of the extraction at the puck and not at the internal of the machine. And that is very helpful when you want a flow profile. And of course, this machine have a PID built in that will allow you to adjust the temperature up and down by 1 degree increments. And as I've explained in the previous video, one of the main reasons why I love my current Barista Express is because of that function. And lastly, given that this is a big machine, for me, I find it very, very helpful that the access to the fill tank is actually in the front of the machine versus in the back. Because I don't know if you guys probably can't really see it, but it's actually not that high from the counter to the cabinet on top. So when I was choosing a machine, I was actually very worried that given how deep some of these machines are, that the tank will actually be buried underneath the cabinet and I will have to sort of move the machine in and out every time I want to fill the water tank. So this machine actually have the access point right in the front of the unit. So to me, that is a huge lifesaver. And of course, overall, I just like the little tidbits that the Breville adds in usually to the machines, things like the little storage trays and stuff like that. And I'm sorry if I rambled on some more. I know you guys just want to see me open the box and get to the machine itself. Okay, so similar experience to some of the other Breville machines. They have their full line of appliance, just pictured around the lid. Of course, you have your 2-year warranty. So of course, you have the quick getting started guide in a very, very familiar color. Now, one thing to mention that this is the BES 920. There is an older dual boiler that's out there, the BES 900 series. The easiest thing to spot just by looking at the front of the unit is that the 920 series have a D-scale access point right on the front of the machine. So that is one thing to keep in mind, especially if you're looking for something that's in the second-hand market, because Breville no longer services the 900 series and only the 920 series. All right, so keep going. We have, of course, our pretty 58mm portafilter, a 58mm temper. Just out of the box though, I gotta say, both of these tempers are actually very, very similar. I thought this one felt a little bit heavier, but just holding the 54mm in my hand for the Barista Express, it actually feels very, very similar. Of course, you also have their razor, which is to really level the puck. I don't really use it. And of course, it does come with a pitcher. And once again, I do want to mention that for a lot of home users, I think the Breville machine comes with a lot of stuff that you need out of the box. And I think for a lot of people getting into this hobby, it's again, very, very user-friendly. Of course, this comes with the little cleaning piece for the spout, a little wrench, and of course, the cleaning piece for the portafilter, really the group head. And of course, it comes with the 2 child-sized cleaning tablets. Next, we have the water filter. And just FYI, for my existing Barista Express, I always use filtered water on top of the internal filtration that I use in the machine. It's the same thing that my friend will do. So I don't know, maybe something to keep in mind for you guys. And lastly, out of the box, we have a 58mm filter basket. So the offering is exactly the same as the Barista Express. You have the 2 single walled as well as 2 dual walled portafilter baskets. Of course, a single and double that is nicely labeled for you guys at home. Based on the forums that I have read, the baskets that it comes with this machine are actually quite capable. However, I did order the decent espresso baskets to go along with this machine as well, and that is coming in the mail. And now the main part, which is the machine. I think I need to actually move this off the table so that I can pull it out better. Now this machine is definitely a little bit heavier than the Barista Express, but I think compared to any heat exchange machine, it's still considered relatively light. Okay, so let's pull this foam piece apart. All right, so here is the machine finally out of the box. Just by looking at the machine versus what I've been using, of course that's the Barista Express, I thought the machine would actually be a lot wider and deeper than the current machine. It doesn't look like it is though. And of course I got them both in the same sesame black color. This machine, just by taking it out of the box, it does feel slightly more premium than the Barista Express. Don't get me wrong, a lot of these pieces are obviously still plastic. However, it just feels more sturdy, probably due to the 2 tanks that's in the machine that adds a little bit more weight. And of course, this much more premium feeling lever for the steam valve. Now coming to the back of the machine, you'll see that it's pretty much all closed off. Very, very similar to the Barista Express, but it does have this nice mirrored aluminum finish. You can actually pull this and to unlock the water tank, which is in here. Of course, this is where you will end up having to put in your filters and everything else. But like I said, a very, very nice part about this machine that I like is that the access to the tank is right in the front via this pop-up opening. Now, this is definitely very, very fancy when it's compared to the sort of the pull-out tank on the Barista Express. So of course you press again to close. Very, very satisfying, very, very nice. As far as the interface and the pressure gauge is concerned, the Barista Express does not really number the actual pressure that it's reading. It simply gives you a range where the espresso should fall. And this one actually numbers the actual bar on the pressure gauge. And from that, you can definitely tell this is more of an enthusiast level machine versus a casual machine like the Barista Express. I might as well go ahead and move them side by side, and this way you guys will have a better idea. Oh, and of course, this little temper will pop in here, magnetized just like the Barista Express. All right, so I have taken off all of the sort of the plastic bits and the protective film on the machine, and now you can see them side by side. So from the camera, you can probably tell that the dual boiler is slightly larger, but when it actually comes to the amount of space that it takes up on the counter, it is not that much deeper. I can go ahead and measure this for you guys since it's kind of slant down a little bit towards the bottom. It's about 2.5 inches deeper. If we were to actually measure, I guess, from the steam lever to the dial, it's about 16 inches side to side. And the Breville Barista Express is about 14 inches side to side. So you're basically about 2 inches wider and 2 inches deeper, and just slightly, actually, as a matter of fact, it's not even higher, because if you're buying the Barista Express, you are having to deal with this bean hopper on top here. So chances are, if this bean hopper fits underneath your cabinet, this is actually lower than the bean hopper itself. So overall, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that this machine is not significantly larger than the Barista Express. So unless if you are having a very tight space issue where the Barista Express just fits, I think for you guys at home that are maybe thinking about upgrading from the Barista Express to the dual boiler, in terms of spacing wise, you're not gonna see too much of an issue there. And of course, very similar to the Barista Express, where you have the tool tray hidden away at the back of the drip tray, you also have a smaller tool storage sort of hidden away right on this little cubby. And you have a fairly deep excess water tray here. And of course, that very nifty empty me symbol that comes up when the water tank is full. So another difference between the Barista Express and the dual boiler. The dual boiler comes with a slightly larger 3-hole steam valve, and the Barista Express, of course, comes with that 1-hole. So you have a dedicated boiler just for steam. The steam's supposed to come on a lot faster than that on the Barista Express. This is pretty much it. Both of these machines are quite similar in terms of operation, in terms of daily use, which to me is actually a big plus coming from the Barista Express, just because it's less of a learning curve and more of an upgrade. All right, so with all of this out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and set it up on the counter and run it through its first shot. All right, so as I'm installing the filter, I do realize that the dual boiler uses a new filter cartridge compared to the small little beanbag shaped looking things on the Barista Express. So what they do recommend is that you go ahead and dip this in water for about 5 minutes. And after that, we want to go ahead and test the water hardness. They actually did include a test strip for the water hardness, and you're supposed to set the water hardness around the machine, and it will remind you on when to change the water filter. Alright guys, so I went ahead and got this machine up and running. Couple of observations while setting up this device I gotta mention. Because of my limited counter space and I had things kind of just cluttered around the Barista Express, trying to fit this in the same space that the Barista Express was in did require me to move things around a little bit more. And on top of that, moving this machine around just feels slightly bit clunkier. I know some of you guys are probably gonna say this is an obvious point because this machine is in fact larger, but it's just when you get used to the size of the Barista Express, try to fit this in where the Barista Express used to be. In practice, it does show its size a little bit more than just looking at it in person. But anyways, the little swivelly wheel on the bottom of the machine does help with the sort of the maneuver of the machines a little bit on the countertop. But in my particular case, I don't have much room, so that didn't really help a whole lot, but it's definitely something that is useful. And of course, in my case, I do like to put in these little rubber damper pads on the bottom of the machine. I had these on the Barista Express. Some of you might have seen them before in the previous videos, but I do like to have them on so that it reduces the vibration as well as the overall noise that the machine makes. And while setting up the water filter, the newer dual boilers, it uses the newer Claro Swiss, and these are the same filters that are used on the Breville Touch. So while they are a little bit more expensive, they are designed to also lower the hardness of the water. So this way it will reduce the amount of time that you actually need to scale the machine. Now, of course, there are some people that choose to go with the distilled water plus like a third wave water powder route, but that is completely up to you if you think that is beneficial. But just to clarify, Breville does recommend against using just the distilled water alone or any water that are deprived of all of its minerals. And speaking of hardness, Breville does include this water hardness tester. Ignore the color because I actually left these strip in the water for a little bit too long while setting up this for this video, that all of the color kind of just, actually you can kind of see all of the paper kind of fell off a little bit. You were only supposed to left this in the water for about 1 minute and observe how many blocks actually turns red. And in my case, only 2 of the blocks turn red. So once you turn on the machine, it's going to ask you automatically what hardness is your water. I set it at hardness 2, and that's that. And of course, I went ahead and washed all of the bits and pieces, let the machine heat up fully. Speaking of the machine heat up, there is a really nifty function of this machine where it actually shows you the temperature of the water as it's heating up. So you kind of have an idea of how long you have to wait. I guess you can kind of give you a status of what's going on. Now, of course, I still do recommend that you go ahead and leave this machine on for the full 20 to 30 minutes while you allow all of the internal pieces to come to full temperature. And that is really going to give you a more consistent result overall. Now, of course, if you don't really have the time to wait, for the dual boiler, it does come with a auto on function where all you gotta do is set the time and you go over to the auto start, you switch that to on, and you can go ahead and set the time of which you want the machine to turn on. So either that be in the morning, or if you're like me, I like to drink a lot of my drinks at night, the machine will be ready for you at your preferred time. So that is also very nifty. The other thing that I did change as soon as I turned on the machine is the thing that I normally change. I went ahead and changed the shot duration. So out of the factory, both the single shot as well as the double shot, both the single as well as the double shot is set at a 30-second limit. And I went ahead and changed that to about 45 seconds. So this way I can manually stop the shot whenever I want. I've explained the benefit of doing that on the previous videos. So I'll leave the link to that down below if you want to go ahead and check it out. And of course, the dual boiler makes it really, really easy to change both of these premises. There's no more hold this, hold that. You simply press the menu. The first thing you can set is obviously shot volume. Go ahead and set it at 2 cups. Then you press the double shot button and let it run as long as you need. And of course, the other thing that I changed is the shot temperature. So I'm currently using a lighter bean. So this temperature kind of works well on the Barista Express. Obviously, there are still some testing to do with this machine as it is new and I'm not fully familiar with it just yet. So I'm using all of the premises that I'm using for the Barista Express to test this machine out. And finally, of course, after the machine has fully come to temperature, you want to go ahead and flush the group head. So I simply press the double shot button, let it run through and run it a second time. So that's pretty much a 1 minute flush. The other thing is you flush the water spout with the dial and of course flush the steam lever. And after that, the machine will be ready to use. Just like the Barista Express, it comes with a working cup warmer right on top. This top piece is a lot hotter than that on the Barista Express. This is immediately apparent, especially when the machine comes to full temperature. It's actually hot enough that you can't really, well, at least I can't really leave my hand on there for very long, it starts to burn. Secondly, the water tank actually have a very nifty little light on the inside. So with the light that I have shining on it right now, you really can't tell. But let me go ahead and turn this off real quick. I don't know if you guys can see, there are a very faint light. It's definitely more apparent in person. There is a light in there that helps you see the water level. So to me, again, that is very, very useful because I will probably rarely have to take the tank out other than to do some periodical cleaning and of course change the filter. You can clearly see the water level up front and be able to fill the water right on top. These are definitely some very, very welcoming improvements as far as for my setup is concerned. All right, so with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and pull a shot with this. I'm not using my normal coffee, I'm just using a whatever coffee for the moment. I just wanted to have the machine run through the shot at least once. You know, to me, it sort of like cleans the machine out a little bit. And of course, that will also allow me to test out the machine in practice. So I have already pre-measured 18 grams of beans. We are pretty much using the same exact grind setting as the Barista Express again. And of course, finally, with a 58mm basket, I'm finally able to do this. And you can, of course, shake it up to break up some of the clumps. It's actually fairly nicely distributed. And of course, with this shaking method, I do realize that you do end up with some more grounds left over in the dosing cup. So maybe I won't be doing this in the future after all. So the funnel and stuff that I purchased have not gotten here yet, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it this way. Things are not gonna be perfect today, and I don't expect it to be. For you guys watching at home, one of the things that I would definitely upgrade first is the temper. After using some of the aftermarket tempers for the Barista Express, this one does seem a little bit lacking. But that is just my personal recommendation. Obviously, you will go with whatever your budget allows. Here we go, first shot. And of course, another nifty function that I just noticed with this machine is that it does have a shot timer. And that is actually quite useful if you don't have a timer on your scale. Oh Jesus, this is fast. And one of course really nifty features of this machine is that it does have a timer built into the screen in case if your scale does not have one. The shot is actually not bad. So the shot came out in about 29 seconds. I don't know if you guys noticed, the pressure kind of climbed onto about 9 bars and then started to slowly decline over the course. The shot actually came out to be okay because it's about 1:2 ratio in about 29 seconds. I could probably grind it slightly finer to make it even better in the future. But again, this is just a test shot. As you can see over here, and just show you guys the 2 shots. These are not the freshest coffees, as you can tell from the color and sort of the crema in the cup. But anyways, my point is to just pull a shot with this and get a test out. So far, I think I just gotta modify the recipe a little bit. I think it's probably going to need a finer grind than what I'm used to with the Barista Express. Secondly, the steamer. Because it's a dual boiler, the beauty of it is that you don't need to deal with the slow ramp up of steam pressure that you had to with the Barista Express. It's more or less an instant on. Obviously, you still want to purge the initial water out of the spout first, but it does come on a lot faster. And as you can hear, after the steamer has finished, you don't have that little sort of that back flush sound or that like the pump sound that comes on with the Barista Express. Now, of course, the other thing with the dual boiler is that you can pull your shot and steaming milk at the same time. That I don't think I need to show you. But what I do want to test out is how fast it is to steam. Obviously, it's not gonna be too crazily fast, but I do want to see if it's noticeably faster than the one that's on the Barista Express. So again, let the water purge. When you see it's all steam, off, in. All right, so first impression, obviously the milk, it's definitely steaming much better in this versus the Barista Express. It just gets silkier much easier. And because of the slower speed, it does allow you to control a little bit more. Oh yeah, it's definitely good enough now. Okay, so this is actually a lot better than I thought. I don't know what's the best way to show this. As you can see, it's definitely very, very silky. I mean, obviously, you know, it's not enough for me to do a pour in, but let me actually, you know what, screw it. Let me see if I can actually pour something really crappy with this. Yeah, so that was a fail. But anyways, definitely I think as a first time experience with this steamer, does work a lot better than that on the Barista Express, which I don't know, I was a little bit skeptical on, you know, exactly how much better this was going to be. But in terms of the texture of the milk that it creates, or rather how easy it is to create that same texture of milk versus the Barista Express, at least, just coming from somebody who's already used to the Breville system, it's a very, very worthwhile upgrade over the Barista Express. All right, let's take a look at the puck. Yeah, doesn't look too bad. Came out fairly clean. And while that is that for this unboxing and sort of a first impression test with the dual boiler, I'm definitely very, very looking forward to using this machine for the long term. And of course, making some content revolved around the dual boiler. On the question of whether or not I'll be keeping the Barista Express, for the moment I am still keeping it because there are actually a lot of videos that I want to make. For example, a long-term, sort of a 5+ year long-term review on the unit. There's kind of a lot of things that I want to talk about, so I've been slowly accumulating things that I want to, you know, say about the machine, and I want to be as more or less thorough as possible. So, you know, looking forward to that. And of course, I want to do a comparison. That'll be down the line when I'm much more comfortable with this machine, a comparison between the dual boiler and the Barista Express. But right off the box, coming from somebody who's been using the Breville system, this is a very worthy upgrade. And I feel like the little things that this machine does improve upon are worthy improvements. So if you guys are in the same shoe as me, with the same dilemmas, hopefully this is gonna help you a little bit. But anyways, that is it for this episode. Hopefully you guys find it to be helpful. And of course, if you have not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like the video, share the video. And as always, please take care and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.